The city of Oxford is known for its dreaming spires, surrounded by incredible English architecture. With some of it being very unique. Oxford University and its colleges are known globally, with some of the world's smartest and brightest people studying here over the years. For the rest of the video, I'll be taking you through a set route through the streets of Oxford, analysing the townscape with theories from Gordon Cullen's book, The Consice Townscape. I'll start at St Giles Street and finish outside the Radcliffe Camera. My route starts at St Giles Street, walking towards the city centre. I will then carry on down through Magdalen Street before turning onto George Street. I will then turn onto New Inn Hall Street and walk to the bottom of the road and cross Queen Street. I will then proceed down St Ebb Street and through Pembroke Street. Next I will walk up St Aldate's, taking a right onto Blue Boar Street and a left onto Alfred Street. Finally, I'll walk down High Street, taking a left onto Cattle Street and finishing up outside the Radcliffe Camera. As you can see, this area is quite open, but with the addition of the trees lining the street, it creates a sense that something else might be down at the end of the road. As we walk further down, we can see what the trees were lining to. On the left, the red highlights deflection, drawing your attention around the corner. The blue highlights the contrast of the vegetation to the hard engineering of the roads and the buildings. In the distance, the blue highlighted building draws our attention to wonder what's around the corner due to the deflection of this building. In addition, we can see that the difference between public and private space as the road cuts through the buildings highlighted in yellow. When one looks down New Inn Hall Street, you can see the irregularity of the building height, which focuses our attention on the innocent, Mercy Memorial Church, which also creates a sense of bareness. As one walks further down, you can notice a few things. Firstly, the different textures of buildings is very apparent, which draws our attention to the building sticking out from the left-hand side. Secondly, at the very end of the street is what appears to be a closed vista. This results in one feeling that they are in an enclosed street and makes you stand back and admire it. Standing in the middle of St Ebb Street can seem a little intimidating, as the building to street ratio is about 2:1. Further down, the building's on a slight angle, deflecting our attention further down the road, which again creates a sense of bareness to the vegetation. As you walk down Pembroke Street, you can immediately see the irregularity of the offsets of the buildings, especially on the right hand side. This leads up to the closed vista at the end of the street, highlighted in red, which again makes you believe that you are in an enclosed area. As one walks up St Aldate's, the Lloyds Bank building acts as an incident which entraps our eye. It also acts as a deflection towards High Street and makes us wonder what's around the corner. In the distance, the deflection draws our attention to wonder what's around the corner. It also gives a sense of bareness. In the foreground, this different textured wall gives a sense of hiddenness, but it also acts as a frame, opposite building, framing the whole of the street. The closed vista at the end of the street invites us to step back and admire the whole street. In addition, the narrow street with the tall buildings can seem a little intimidating, but this also frames and focuses our attention on the closed vista. The curvature of the street makes it look like most of the buildings are at a deflection, deflecting our view further and further down the street. It is clear to see the variedness of the buildings, as some stick out more than others, resulting in an irregular building line. As one walks up Cattle Street, you will notice the very apparent narrowing of the two opposite buildings. This again frames and focuses our attention on the focal point, which is the Radcliffe Camera. In addition, the closed vista creates a sense of bareness, which highlights the Radcliffe Camera into perspective. As one enters the Radcliffe Square, you can immediately see the contrast to Cattle Street as it opens up into a beautiful public square. The black fence that surrounds the Radcliffe Camera is a clear distinction between public and private space, where the cobbled textured square is public space and the grass is the private area. The buildings surrounding the Radcliffe Camera act as boundaries and closed vistas, framing and enhancing the Radcliffe Camera. I believe the city of Oxford has a sense of place and was designed from the view of the moving person. Many of Gordon Cullen's theories can be seen in Oxford, leading me to believe that it has a sense of serial vision.